Do you ever wonder how great leaders in the community make things happen? When they encounter new, unexpected challenges like a pandemic, how do they continue to successfully make an impact? Welcome to That Sounds Terrific, the podcast that connects you with these amazing people. Get insights on what they do to meet their goals, find out how you can help them in their mission, and learn their methods so you can be more successful at what you do. Welcome to That Sounds Terrific with host Nick Koziol.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Nick Koziol, your host of That Sounds Terrific, and joining me today is Scott Humphries, and he's with JVF Solutions. Thanks for being on the show.
It's great to be here, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We met a few weeks ago and decided that it would be a good idea to have you kind of come in and talk a little bit about your business and some of the other things that you're doing. Why don't we start with some introductions, and let's learn a little bit more about you, Scott. And can you tell me a little bit about you and your business?
Sure. So, Nick, I live in Massachusetts, lived here my whole life, have a family, wife, two daughters, 15 and 12, and, nice little nuclear family. We got two dogs as well, but older daughter is a drummer and an artist, younger daughter is a ninja warrior. So
Nice.
interesting collection of hobbies among them. Professionally, I'm with JVF Solutions. At JVF Solutions, we like to say that we will supercharge your business growth with a customized web presence that will set you apart from your competition. When you hire us, we'll design your website to attract more visitors, keep them engaged, and convert them into clients. We stand by our work. We don't run away and hide. We offer website development and maintenance. We also offer social media setup services and done-for-you digital marketing service, which includes monthly blogging and weekly social media posting.
Very, very nice. So it's like all encompassing kind of package here. So I think that's awesome. I know that, you took a quick look at my site, and I was glad that I wasn't completely off base, but it can always improve it. And that's what I like about, services like yours, because the professionals can kind of come in and say, hey, you could be doing this a little bit better, or maybe that a bit better, but you're doing this well. And, we've all been on those phone calls, right? Or Zoom meetings where they've come in and you're like, you need to just totally redo this. And I love that. I love that you can come in and do that, because I'm like, okay, well, that would be a nice, end the conversation. So
Right.
I like, there was a great mix of here's some suggestions and things like that. So
Yeah. Well, our mutual connection, Jada, she and I have been through through the same coaching program. And that's
mhm,
one thing that we like to do is we give value to people when we meet with them,
sure.
because that's how you establish your expertise, right? It's you're going to learn from me. We give it away, essentially give away the advice for free, but
Mhm.
you're not going to implement anything unless you bring someone of that expertise in. So I'm glad you weren't off put by the suggestions to your website. It is a tricky thing because sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I try to start off with a positive, do the old sandwich technique, because there
Mhm.
usually is something on the site that's like, yeah, I like how they do that. I like the way they have their imagery set up, but that's one of those things. And to your point too, sometimes a redesign is what's needed. The old expression, you can't put lipstick on a pig. I mean, it's tough to if you have a site that's more than 5 years old, has an old design, it's taken 10 seconds to load, you're going to have a hard time making tweaks to it to make it work. So
Well, I laugh at your little statement there, because we do have a pig, and it's my daughter's, and I have personally seen her put lipstick on him.
oh
So that, along with 4th of July designed hoof nail print. So yeah, you can follow well, we haven't added many photos lately, but you can follow him on Instagram, Pudge Pig. But it's just funny that you said
that's
that.
awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So I am a business of my personal side business, this side hustle. That sounds terrific. That really doesn't bring in money to me at all. That's my side hustle. It's a business of one. And then I work for the U of R, which is a very large organization. That's actually the largest employer in Monroe County in New York. So what is your typical client? What's your sweet spot? Who do you look for? Their specific industries tell me a little bit more about that.
Our ideal client is a business that most likely has a website already. And the issue lies is that they're growing, they're doing well, but their website is not really supporting their business anymore. it is more of a placeholder and not a client conversion machine, which is about 80% of the websites out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really not showing their brand in the best light. You could have a really good company. You could also have the website doesn't necessarily have to be unappealing. It can be a nice looking website, but sometimes the branding is not set up. Sometimes it's really not telling the story of what that company does for its ideal clients. Our goal is to make sure that that website tells the story quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Ideal clients understand immediately when they get there what the problems are that they solve. As far as industries, we're industry agnostic, and I'm very comfortable doing it that way, because what I tend to find, and this might be a little controversial, is some of those more industry specific web development design agencies, a lot of their websites that they produce for their clients look very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And what we try to do is we try to make our clients stand out. So we like to think of ourselves as we're a step between that freelance web developer who can get your site up for a brand new business and really do a lot of the plug and play stuff that you don't have time to do. But we're not that that full-fledged marketing agency. We do most of the things that a marketing agency would do. We don't necessarily do the branding strategy,
Mm-hmm.
the fundamentals, but usually our clients have that down. And so they're
Right.
not in need of a full-fledged marketing agency, but they need someone to update their website and potentially help them with the other digital marketing aspects.
Sure. So, all right. So you got maybe your ideal client, or you did your pitch, which I really love, by the way. It was a great pitch. Um, Earlier I meant to say that. And so what's like kind of like the first steps when you're, taking on a client, explain the process that that takes place.
So if we have a website development client, step one, after what we do after we sign the agreement is we'll schedule the first meeting to set up the design, theme, and colors for the website and go over what each page of the website is supposed to be like. Then step two, after that meeting, we'll create a list of items we either need from the client or we need to create, like logo, copies, images, and videos. Step three, by the end of the second week, we'll meet again, show the client the draft, get their feedback. Step four, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll meet one more time, finish the site, test it, and then launch it. And then step five, once the site is launched, we're going to continue to maintain and monitor it. We include that in our core package for website development is 12 months of maintenance and monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
And that aligns with what I said earlier. We stand by our work. We don't want to be that web developer that you have a hard time getting a hold of. We want to make sure that we're continuing to make sure the website's optimal. We're like a watchdog to the website too. We'll do nightly security scans. We'll check for suspicious activity, suspicious IP addresses to block potential attackers. Really have that fine attention to detail to make sure the website continues to run well and look great.
That sounds awesome. So, what about after that 12 months, or even I guess I've worked with a lot of smaller nonprofits or even small businesses, and they don't necessarily have an IT or web department. So once you kind of turn the reins over, how easy is it for the typical average Joe to update their site or add pictures or move things around?
First of all, they can continue to have us maintain and monitor their site. That's when they can renew for another year.
Sure.
And yeah, I think for the average business, if they don't have that IT person on hand, or they don't have that person with the development acumen, it can get pretty tough. It really, if you ignore the website, it's kind of a road to ruin sometimes, because there are security issues. There are things like software updates to the plugins in the website that you need to stay on top. You need to keep an eye on, and we see that sometimes too. It's something like I talked to someone the other day. They let one of their 2 SSL certificates, that's the security that makes sure the data is encrypted when it gets passed over the website. And really now browsers are telling you when you don't have that, it will say HTTP instead of HTTPS.
Right.
When it's without the S, the browser's saying this website's not secure. And some institutions, I was in a school the other night on my laptop and it was blocking a site that was HTTP. So those things happen, and they especially happen when a company takes its eye off the website.
Yeah. That's a dangerous thing in this day and age with all the cybersecurity issues and things like that. So, how deep into like the company's site can you go? And I guess what I mean by that is like, what kind of like things set you apart, like different like web services that you might do, like, closed systems, password protection, those types of things. I assume you do that kind of stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about how in depth your websites can go?
Yeah, so I think this, staying on the topic of security, we make sure all our websites have a firewall and the correct security plugins in it. And I think that we've seen that step get overlooked by
Hmm.
other development agencies, and it causes problems. So I think we start there. We do a little bit more with our maintenance package than a lot of other companies do. I mentioned how we're a watchdog for the website. We really want to make sure that the site is protected. So
Hmm.
doing those reviews of visitor logs, it's an extra step, but it's a precaution, and we haven't had any issues with websites getting hijacked or all of a sudden becoming a toy website for some company overseas. So
Hmm.
like I said, there's a little extra attention to detail we put into the maintenance program.
Sure, sure. Um, so what else like, sets you apart from other like website developers, and like, what's something that you're like really proud of that maybe other website developers aren't necessarily doing?
I think what I see a lot is we're full stack in the sense that we look at the back end and the front end of the website. And the back end of the site is, the real technical stuff, right?
Hmm.
But you need to know your way around back there, and you need to be able to also customize websites in a way that a lot of the plug and play developers out there are not going to be able to do. So when I said earlier, we want to give folks a unique website, that technical know-how. I mean, we've been building websites since 1997.
Hmm.
We come from an IT and software engineering background, so that sort of lends itself to that real fine attention to detail. But then on the other side of it, we have a strong marketing background, we have a strong business acumen. We really love to dig into what our clients' businesses are. And one thing I always say is if your web developer is not taking an interest in what your business does, what problems it solves, what it is that you do for your ideal clients, what your mission is, what your core values are, um, it's not the partnership you need for something so important to your business.
Hmm.
The website is the central hub for your brand. A lot of companies still don't see it that way, and what they have is a website that's more of a placeholder and something that they put on their business cards. So it's the two-sided part of it. There's so many things to consider with a website, and we look at things too beyond trying to grow the business profit and having the brand really resonate and give that emotional connection to the ideal clients. How about, when folks are looking for jobs? How about this
Hmm.
job market right now? If you can't have the imagery and the look that your place is a fun place to work, if the work culture is great, if employee achievement isn't celebrated, um, you're gonna have a struggle trying to attract those ideal clients. So we can work with our clients to make sure that that website gives that feeling as well.
Cool, cool. So like I know that you're obviously probably optimizing the site so it gets noticed and gets found and things like that. But what other tricks of the trade can you share that your company does to really get that business that you're working for first up on top of that Google search?
Yeah, I mean, SEO is that could take a long time to answer, but
Layman's
well,
terms, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even before we get started with the client, we do what's
Sure.
called the technical requirement document that scopes out the whole project. And part of what we deliver there are some keywords that they can compete for, right? You want
Hmm.
to have a realistic shot at getting those keywords, but then on the other side, they need to be search terms that people are actually looking for, and even better, that have the intent to buy with those searches. So we give them some insight into that. Uh, you're right. The optimization of the website can't be overlooked. All text on videos, all text on photos. It also helps with the accessibility part,
Yeah.
which has become a bit, a big topic. But making sure that your tabs to your social media pages open up separately so people can stay on your website, making sure that your photos are sized right. That still that still boggles my mind when
Mhm.
I do a test of a website. I look at the waterfall and I see that these pictures are holding up the load speed, and really a lot of times it's just they're not sized right and they're not formatted right. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of the little things, and we're very comprehensive with making sure they all get attended to.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that. I'm on a couple times. Too large of pictures, and it was the way that you kind of uploaded it and then resize it. But
Right,
yep,
exactly. Resize first, then put them
then
into the
upload. Yep,
element. Right. Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm just thinking about sometimes I'm like, why is this taking so long?
I guess it makes sense. People want to get the website up when you're running out of time and you need to get it up.
Sure.
That's an easy thing to just skip.
Yeah, and it's also like what's the resolution that you really want? What's the optimal resolution? If you're putting together a site yourself or you don't have a lot of experience with that, you don't always know the answers to that, right? I think about some of some of the photographers that I know and how they wanted to like have the highest resolution photos on the site,
Right. Yep.
right? Because they got to look great. Yeah, but you're also giving away your product too, because now you can download the high res,
Do you
right?
think there's much of a difference though between, an optimized photo and one that's has the highest resolution on a website
I mean, I
to the
honestly don't.
average person?
No, I don't think so. But it does like affect, like you said, load times and a number of other things.
I
So
think it's a trade. I don't. I agree. I don't see the difference. I don't think 99% of the public sees the difference.
mhm,
Um, and I think the trade-off of getting that to load on a phone quickly so people don't bounce is the right way to go.
yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right, especially as we move forward with social media and all the different things that are going on. It used to be, your span of attention was about a minute, right? And it was longer than that before that, but now it's getting down to like 30, 15 seconds. People are
Yep.
just scrolling. So
Yeah. Stop the scroll. And then with regard to the website, the first impression really is made in the first half a second.
right. That's crazy.
Yeah, Deloitte and some other institutions have come out with statistics that back that. I mean, really, something happens when your brain, when the site doesn't just immediately appear when you
Yeah.
enter in a search or you type in the URL.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, well, I mean, people are at the
Yep.
bus stop, they're doing things, they want to, do things quickly on their phone. And if it doesn't appear there, it doesn't tell the story quickly, and it doesn't resonate, then you're going to have a hard time getting that person into your sales funnel or to buy your stuff.
Sure, sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's that kind of mentality that makes it a big challenge for any business really to kind of get ahead of the game. You almost want to get that viral video going. And that's hard to do in itself, especially when you try to do it. It just sort of happens by accident more often than not, I see. So JVF Solutions, what else do you guys do, to help your clients or even the community? What are some of the other things that what maybe some of the things on the horizon that you're looking to get into more?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think one one area we kind of want to avoid this is to chase the shiny thing, right? And while we have this technical know-how, and my partner who founded the company wanted to put the word solutions in the company because we can take on some more complex type of integrations with websites and help really solve problems. I think when you're offering too many different bells and whistles, like as packages, it gets very hard to articulate. So I think just continue to do what we're doing. We're growing. I think each quarter we seem to be attracting a larger type of client, a bigger type of job, and just to kind of shed light on the history of the company's been around since 2014. My partner had it as a side gig for a while. He took it full time a few years back. I joined him briefly last year and then full time from the start of this year.
Hmm.
And it's been a fun, it's been a fun process. But as far as what we're doing community wise, I think as individuals, both myself and my partner, are very tied into our respective communities. He volunteers with a read along program for reading to children. He and his wife do a lot of things at local local events in their area. They're very much involved in their children's school. They're all in high school. And from my end, I was driving my daughter to school this morning. The musical that we're doing in the community is Mary Poppins. I have been debating if I should audition for it. I've been in a couple of shows recently. We did Addams Family back this past year, and a few years back we did Annie. And it's when you're an entrepreneur, your time is very limited. But the fact that she wants me to be in it, it's something I can do with her, and yet still put on a show for the community. I think that's something I'm going to get myself involved in.
Very, very nice. So what were you in Addams Family?
I was Uncle Fester. So people that can see this video can understand why I was Uncle Fester in that show, and Oliver Warbucks and Annie.
Very, very nice. Yeah, I think when I shared offline in the last time we met about how Annie was one of my first plays that I was ever in, and I wasn't Oliver Warbucks or really anybody but a police officer and then the radio guy. But
oh yeah, yeah, those are great roles.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Fifth grade, and that started like a very big love of drama and the arts going forward, and ended up going to Fredonia for not really performance, but always has been something that I've been wanting to get back into. And I applaud you for being able to go back into community theater. That's
No, that's
awesome.
great. Yeah, and actually, I was a police officer too recently, and I had a small role in Arsenic and Old Lace. Are you familiar with that?
I have heard of it. I have not seen it
It's a
though.
classic, and there's a movie with Cary Grant that I recommend watching.
I'll have to check that
It's
out.
one of those evergreen kind of dark comedy that
Sure.
that's what made it a good show to do. It's about 60 years old, but it was really funny. So in a
That's
dark way.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I live so far away from really any place that does community theater that it would just be, once you especially get into the upcoming shows, like where you're about 2-3 weeks out where you're performing every night. I don't think I could do it.
And it's tough too to have a community theater because I'm in a small town with 8,000 people, and we have to not only put on the show. I mean, we have some great people that do the set design, prop people. I mean, you're getting people to volunteer, and then you got to sell tickets, and you got to do the media, and all that is super time consuming.
Well, they got someone that can do the website.
Well, that's actually, we haven't done the website for them. I think that's something we'd love to do probably for them at some point. We do have another techie on our board that did a good job with it, but yeah. I mean, that, so to your point, your earlier question, I think that's something we see ourselves doing in the future, is to kind of help more businesses, or actually organizations in the area with websites. Yeah, I'm also on the Special Education Parents Advisory Council here in Millis. I've been a co-chair for the past year and a half, and our website, I haven't been able to put much time into it, and I think it's something that when things kind of get off and running for us a little bit more, and we're doing great as a company, but I think we're still in that position where we don't have a lot of space to do some of the pro bono stuff yet, but I think we're gonna get there.
Yeah, no, I think that's great that you're looking to get there. And you mentioned something earlier about accessibility, and I know that's become a huge topic. It's been a huge topic, but really, like, they're starting to crack down more on making websites more accessible. And how do you see that trend affecting your business, and what are some things, I guess, that businesses should be aware of as this trend sort of continues down that path?
It's going to be a big thing next year, I predict. I think that there are going to be a lot of businesses scrambling to make sure that their sites are ADA compliant here in the United States. So back when the American Disabilities Act was passed in 1990, signed by the late George H.W. Bush, there weren't really any business websites. And as technology kind of leads the legislative regulations, right? The technology and the innovation happens first, and then you kind of catch up to it. There's not great guidance along what is an ADA compliant website. So like anything, where there's uncertainty in the law, the courts then interpret it. And over the last few years, they have been, there is some laws that say if you're a public business, you need to have these things on your website. Closed caption, alternate text, you have to be read by a screen reader, you have to be able to navigate without a mouse. But the private businesses, mom and pop type shops, they seem to be, at least from if you go really literal with it, seem to be removed from that. But the way the lawsuits have been coming down in the last few years, it's really like every business is serving the public, every business is, and what they're doing now too is that so there's this working document by this consortium of technical experts called it's called the WCAG, and it has a long list of guidelines for websites to make it more accessible. It's an international group, and it's constantly being updated. And the Department of Labor is coming out next year with more stricter guidelines. They have more specific guidelines, as I should say. They've announced that, and it looks like it's something that's going to come out, sometime next year. The Biden administration has said, we want those guidelines to be aligned with the WCAG. And in some of those more recent lawsuits, they're citing like the WCAG guidelines in the lawsuits. So it's going to be it is a big deal. I mean, I think doing the right thing and making sure your site is accessible to everyone is smart. There's also a business aspect to it too. You're opening yourself up to a wider audience when you do that. You should be. But yeah, if you're not quite there yet, you're going to have to be, I predict, next year.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I mean, I would love to hear a couple suggestions that you have right now to kind of start that process early, for those businesses that maybe are just hearing that now from us. Like, what would you suggest? I mean, obviously, contact you and I'm sure you can help. But what are maybe some simple solutions? Or
I mean, I would say every image, every video on your website should have alternate text. That's also going to help you with SEO, but I mean, I think the greater good here is making sure that people that have screen readers can use it. You shouldn't have PDFs on your site because screen readers can't read them. Closed caption on every video. One thing, you don't want videos to open up automatically and start playing. Any sort of like flashing light is, people that are prone to having seizures could be at risk. It goes on and on. And I think it's a very good thing. But and taking your tab button or your arrows and making sure you can navigate through, because some people aren't able to use a mouse. Some people have the technology that allows them to go through. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and really start to research it. Getting ahead of, I don't know how it's going to be enforced. I don't know if there's going to be, additional agencies, but I mean, ADA compliance is enforced now. I think it's just going to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's going to get bigger and a little more oversight and a little more noticeable, I think. And one of the things that I had learned, pretty early on, but I know that a lot of people, like, when they're putting a web page together and they have a lot of text, they're like making the text bigger without making it a heading. So it's all one part of the body, and it's just like making the text larger, and then those readers can't grab like the main points of each.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah. And in font size, I think the recommendation is 14 pxi. I think that makes sense.
Yep. I'm probably not doing that.
It'll be bigger than that.
You're making me want to go look at my site a little bit more closely. And you know what? And my listeners to do it too, just to tell me what I'm doing wrong. No, that's great. I mean, Scott, you do some really great things for, for businesses to kind of help them kind of be that first impression. What are some other things that, you know, that you can talk a little bit more about, maybe with the website link integration? Like, how do you suggest social media and things like that get involved? Is there some things on the cusp of social media that you want to share, saying, hey, this would be really good to have on a business site?
Well, we recently discovered a plugin that allows for TikTok to be put up on a website, which is great. We have a TikTok page on our site. We have a client we're working with right now that does a lot of TikTok, and just putting those, and it's just automatic. They'll post a
Mhm.
TikTok and automatically goes up on their website. I think that's great. I think we like putting YouTube up on the website. It's gonna, as opposed to an MP4. Some people like Vimeo. That's great too. Obviously,
Mhm.
YouTube has a substantially larger reach, and
Mhm.
when you're watching an embedded video on a website, you're getting credit for two things. One, you're keeping people on the website longer, so longer engagement time, which helps with conversion and quite possibly helps with the search engine optimization. We don't know for sure, because sometimes Google does things in sort of mystery, but we can suspect that's the case. They also own YouTube.
Yeah.
Another reason to go with YouTube for your website, but also then the YouTube statistics will you'll get favorable watch times there too. So it's one of the few social media platforms that doesn't really mind it if you're doing things on another website
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to
No,
directly on theirs.
as opposed to LinkedIn, that, like,
Right.
punishes you for going off their site. And I've noticed even punishes you if you link to something else on their own site. So
Another wonderful social media platform with
right.
secret rules sometimes that
Secret
no one
rules that,
can quite wrap their brain around.
yeah, no, it
Trial
is
and error.
funny. And that's kind of like why I like TikTok a lot, at least from the standpoint of like how it like pushes out content. I mean, out of all the social media engines, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, but I feel like you have the most opportunity to like hit the biggest audience or go viral in your content area, because of the way that it spreads content out by that standard and not by who you're connected to.
I
So
agree. I agree. And the audience, the power of TikTok right now is you can't ignore it, right? So I'm not sure if my ideal clients are make up a broad amount of the TikTok people, but
mhm.
I mean the sheer number of eyeballs you can get to, you got to think that yes, the people I want to talk to are out there, and yeah, I can't ignore it. I don't think anyone should. I
Yeah.
think you should be posting there pretty regularly and consistently. And you're right. I mean, it's easy too. Pick up your phone, say something, post it, put it out there. You can do that multiple times. I mean, consistency, like all the other platforms, is important there.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily, your followers aren't always the people that are seeing it. In most cases, they're not. It goes out to people that aren't technically following it, which I think is the main differentiator between it and other platforms.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just waiting for the next thing to come out. What's the next big social media thing that is gonna, because all of us older folk and the baby boomers and businesses are starting to get on TikTok. So
Mhm.
that was like, what happened to Facebook a number of years ago and why that started
Right.
to drop. It's because it's not, well, I think it's because it's not as cool as some of the other things, when Snapchat came out and that went really well. And then that started to nosedive because, more adult like people came on, more businesses started using it.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
it's just,
interesting.
it's just an interesting ebb and flow. And it just, like I said, I can't wait to see what's that next thing.
Well, I think what we're doing here too is we're highlighting the need for a company to have a website with all their content. It should be the hub of
Yeah.
their content, because it's their brand, it's their central hub. You want those social media pages to support the website, not the other way around.
Yep.
And and you don't have to worry about any outside rules. And we have a few clients right now where we're creating community web uh, pages within these websites, because I don't know why it's the my my hand just went up because I raised my
Yeah.
hand in talking to you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I guess I have that hand sensor on there.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
we integrate with a platform called Buddy Boss,
Mhm.
and it allows for you to have something very similar to a Facebook closed group, except it has nothing to do with Facebook. It's controlled within your website. You have more privacy there. The conversations are more focused. You don't have to worry about somebody going off and being distracted by something else in their Facebook feed when they're working within a closed group.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's something that we we're starting to work with clients on too.
Well, that's cool. I definitely like those sort of closed formats where you can kind of talk to internally to your audience or even to your own company, right? The company's big enough, they want to like share their certain different things and have a way to, contact. And I think that's great. Um, so Scott, I mean, what else do you do, or what else is there that I haven't asked about that are proud of or you want to talk about here? Because I want to make sure I get everything in. That's the stumper question that I usually throw out there at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, that is a good
So
one.
while you're
Yeah.
thinking about that, I'll ask some simple questions so you can kind of like reflect a
Okay.
little bit, but more about you, like just simple things like I like to ask sometimes like what was your dream car growing up or truck? No dream car, no
I'm not a
truck.
car guy. My dad leased a Chrysler LeBaron convertible
Hmm.
when I was in high school, and I got to drive that around a lot, more than he probably should have let me. And it did help expose me to more people because more people wanted to hop in. So I guess that was my dream car then. Right now, uh, I want to try one of those flying cars when they're ready. I just
Oh,
had this
cool.
vision of me just going, stuck in traffic, just pulling a lever and going over it. So
Going
you want to
over.
talk about a dream? That is a dream car right there.
Get over that traffic. That can be a dream, especially where, I come from. So getting out of traffic. All right, cool. How about if you could have any role, like acting role, like what would be? What would the part be that would be your dream role?
Hmm.
That might be even bigger stumper than what else do we have to talk about?
You know, you're familiar with the movie Major League?
Hmm.
I always liked Charlie Sheen's character in that.
Wild thing.
Because I always liked the baseball closer too.
Yeah.
He comes in, has his own theme song,
Yep.
gets really crazy, and then just, you know, on most of the time, like throws a couple strikeouts and ends the game. So
That's
yeah, the
that's cool.
wild thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, okay. So what is like a dream, like I'm on the dream theme right now. So maybe we'll get off that. Like, where's a great place to go get a bite to eat where you live?
We've been going to this place. Well, it where my wife works full time as a special education teacher. She also does some side consulting. I'm busy with this business. The kids are in school, so we stick with something that's close, quick, but hits the mark. It's called Cravings with a K,
Hmm.
and I like their lamb rice bowl. It's like a Greek uh, it's sort of like a Greek Mexican fusion bowl. It's really quite good.
Really cool. I have to look that place up. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, look, if you see it, you'd be unimpressed. It is it's where everyone goes for an ice cream cone after a school event.
mhm.
So, but
Well, sometimes those are the places
it's
with the
front
best food.
front of mind. Yeah, no, there's my family likes Japanese food. It's one of the one places we can go where everyone has something that they can eat because we're a household of picky eaters.
Yep.
So there's a few good places around us that we
What
like to check out. One
where this
place called Yama Fuji that is in a nearby
nice.
plaza that we go to. But yeah, my foodie. Getting back to being a foodie is something I see happening when the nest is empty.
Yeah. No, I get it. Believe me. I've 4 kids and every single one of them has a different palate.
Yes.
Sometimes they change the next day.
Any
So,
vegetarians in the house?
yep. Yep.
Yep.
Um,
Same. My younger
so
daughter is a vegetarian. The rest of us are not. And then just generally picky eaters. My
yep.
older one loves fruit, so she can eat fruit all day, which is great. But yeah, it's always been a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. We encounter those challenges every day. And then being busy, like I'm sure your family is just as busy as ours with all sports and
Yep.
after school activities, like trying to find the time to make 4 or 3 different meals or whatever it is. So cool. Well, great suggestions. And now we can kind of maybe swing back into that, like anything else about, your business that you'd want to share.
Well, we have a quarterly karaoke night that we're doing tonight. So um, I got to think about what songs I want to do. So my partner likes to suggest songs that I'm not that crazy about doing. Sometimes I'll just go along to get along on them. But he's bringing another person that we network with, another web developer that we sometimes support. And I just said to them over text earlier, I said, you know what? I'll video you two, and I like to work alone. But 2 old standby, they're getting too old now. I mean, I'm 48. When I used to do them, the place would go crazy. Now it's like, what song is he doing? I used to do Centerfold by the Jay Giles Band, Little Red Corvette by Prince, Look Away by Chicago. That was my trifecta of songs. So we like to have
Nice.
fun. It's great when you're working alongside one of your old college friends of 30 years gone by. You have a lot of good laughs. As far as what we're proud of, integrity. I think we give our clients a say in every step of their online transformation. We don't do things in a black box. We won't get overly technical with them in explaining things, but we want them to understand what it is we're doing. So it's not a mystery to them, because that's a frustration of business owners. Like, all right, what the heck did my web developer do?
Yeah. Where did my money go? What did it really do?
Where am I going to go? I don't know what
Yep.
to figure this out. I'm having buyer's remorse. What the heck did I do?
Well, I think it's great that integrity is one of the things, but also like having fun. Like,
Yeah.
taking clients to, like, I wouldn't have thought of taking clients to karaoke or, talking about that, in relation to business. And I think that is a great image to have, not only be a business of integrity, a man of integrity, but also one is willing to go out there and have some fun. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you being on the show, Scott, and
Thank
sharing
you,
some of
Nick.
these things. Yeah.
No, this is great. I appreciate you doing this with me.
Yeah. So I'm Nick Koziol, I'm the host of That Sounds Terrific. And joining me today was Scott Humphries from JVF Solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Don't forget to check out the show notes and our website at thatsoundsterrific.com to find the contact information and the best ways to volunteer with the organizations that we feature. If you know someone that is doing terrific things and think they should be featured in a future episode, be sure to email us their name, contact info, and short description of what they're doing at thatsoundsterrific@gmail.com. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating and give us some social media love by liking our Facebook page, That Sounds Terrific. Follow us on Twitter at Sounds Terrific 2 and Instagram at Sounds Terrific. We love hearing your feedback on how to make our show sound even more terrific. Till next time.